Hello, welcome back to Mr. Kendrick's online math class. This is a continuation of lesson 5.4, solving proportions, and this lesson we're going to focus on solving different types of proportions with a main focus on algebraic expressions. If you completed the full page from last lesson, you can turn to the next blank page, otherwise you can keep moving down the page where you left off. Alright, we're going to start with a quick review. I just would like you to watch as I work through this. Solving proportions, the easiest way to do that is cross products, and then that'll give us an equation, and we can divide to isolate the variable. So if we're doing cross products here, we are multiplying across the proportion. So we get n times 4, which would be 4n, equals 5 times 7 is 35. Alright, now we have a one-step equation, and our variable, we're trying to get it by itself, is being multiplied by 4. So we're going to divide to undo that multiplication. This will cancel out. We'll be left with the n equals, and 35 times 4, 35 divided by 4 equals 8.75. So n is equal to 8.75. So using cross products allows us to get an equation, and then we can solve that equation for the unknown variable. Alright, let's look at some different examples here. So the question asks us to find the value of x so that the ratios are equivalent. So we have two ratios, 3 to x and 72 to 120. Alright, and remember, when we are setting up a proportion, we're just going to work left to right. So the first thing that is mentioned is going to be in the numerator. So we'll have 3 over x equals 72 over 120. So now we've set up our proportion, and now we can solve. So we're going to cross multiply. So x times 72 will be 72x, and then 3 times 120 will be 360. Now we have our equation, and we can solve. So we're going to divide by 72. Divide by 72. These will cancel out. We'll be left with x equals 360 divided by 72. 360 divided by 72 equals. So 360 divided by 72 is 5, so x will equal 5. Alright, make sure you have this example written down in your notes before you move on. The second one says find the value of x so that the ratios are equivalent. So we have 7/4 to 14 and x to 32. Again, we're just going to work left to right. So we're going to have, in our numerator, we're going to have 7/4 to 14. So here you'll notice that we have created a complex fraction. Don't be put off by that. We're going to use the same process that we've been using. And then we'll have x over 32. Now we can cross multiply. So we get 14 times x, and that'll be 14x equals, and then we got 32 times 7/4. So remember, when we're multiplying fractions, we'll go 32 over 1 times 7/4. Now we can cross cancel here by dividing by 4. So 4 divided by 4 will leave 1. 32 divided by 4 will leave 8. And now we can multiply straight across. 8 times 7 is 56. And 1 times 1 is 1. So we have 14x equals 56. Now we have our equation, and we can solve for the unknown. We're going to first divide by 14 and divide by 14. This will cancel out. We'll be left with x equals 56 divided by 14. So get our calculator, we get 56 divided by 14 and equals 4. So x is equal to 4. Alright, moving on here. Example 3, we have a question that says you have $60 to buy t-shirts. You can buy 4 t-shirts for $25. Do you have enough money to buy 10 t-shirts? So in solving this problem, there's 2 different ways that we could do it. We could do it using the unit rate, or we can do a proportion. We're going to start, I'm going to go through both examples. The first one will being the unit rate, and then we'll do a proportion. Alright, so in our question there's some important information that we need to pull out. So first we'll start 4 t-shirts for $25. So if we look at that, t-shirts comes first, so that's going to be our numerator. So we can say t-shirt. So because we're trying to figure out how much each t-shirt costs, we're actually going to put money on top. We're going to want the money, the total cost divided by the number of t-shirts, so t-shirt. Okay, so for our unit rate, we want to figure out, it costs $25 for 4 t-shirts. We're looking to figure out how much it costs for 1 t-shirt. So we got $25 divided by 4 t-shirts. So now you can see in our proportion we have $25 divided by 4 t-shirts, and we're looking over here to figure out how much it costs for 1 t-shirt. So if we pull up our calculator, we get $25 divided by 4 t-shirts equals $6.25. So we got $6.25 here. So for 1 t-shirt it costs $6.25. Now we want to figure out if we have enough money to buy 10 t-shirts. So we're going to multiply that cost for 1 t-shirt times 10, so we can figure out how much it costs for 10 t-shirts. And $6.25 times 10 would be $62.50. Do we have enough money? No, we do not. We need we're $2.50 short. Now, if we create a proportion, we will use the same setup, so it'll be dollars over t-shirts. Okay, so we get $25 for 4 t-shirts, and then we are wanting to know how much it costs for 10 t-shirts, and so this will be our unknown. And then from there we can use cross multiplication and solve. So 4 times x will give you 4x equals 25 times 10 would be 250. And then now we can divide by 4, divide by 4. This will cancel out. X equals 250. 250 divided by 4, and that is 62.5. Okay, so that shows us that this is the cost for 10 t-shirts, $62.50. So no, we do not have enough money. Hopefully after walking you through both these examples, you can see that the unit rate when we're dealing with money is a little bit easier because it takes us right to where we're going. When we're setting up a proportion, it kind of loses track of what we're actually going for, so it's a little bit more confusing. So unit rate when we're dealing with money is the preferred method. Alright, now here's some new examples for solving proportions, and these ones are a little bit different because we have this 3 times x, but we're actually going to solve them the exact same way using cross products. Okay, so we're just going to, on this one you can either pause it, you can pause and try this on your own, or you can go through it step by step with me here. First thing we got to do is cross multiply, and 10 times 9 will give you 90. And then 3x times 4 is going to be 12x. So we get equals 12x. And then now we're in the same situation that we've been in before. We're in a one-step equation. We can divide. So we divide by 12 here and divide by 12. This will cancel, and we'll be left with just x. And then we get our handy-dandy calculators, and we say 90 divided by 12 is equal to 7.5. So x, or 7.5 equals x. So notice, I know that there's a multiplication of a variable in this ratio or proportion, but don't let it confuse you. You're going to use the same exact process that we've been using. Make sure you have this example written down before you move on. Alright, go ahead and pause here. I'd like you to try this one on your own, and then come back and see how you did. Alright, we're going to start with cross multiplying. 12 times 5 is 60, so we're going to have 60x equals 3 times 80, which would be 240. Now we have a one-step equation, and we can solve for x. Divide by 60, divide by 60. This will cancel here. We get x equals, pull out our calculator, and we get 240 divided by 60, and that would equal 4. So x is equal to 4. Alright, we got a few more examples to work through here. Moving on to number 6. Solve the proportion. We have in parentheses c minus 3 to 6 equals 7 to 3. Again, we're going to use the same process. We're going to cross multiply, and then we are going to solve. Okay, so starting here, 6 times 7 is 42. And then we'll get 3 times, so we get 3 times c minus 3. Okay, now the only difference here is we got to distribute this 3 to everything inside the parentheses. So that'll give us, we get 3 times c, which will be 3c, and then 3 times negative 3, which will be negative 9, equals 42. Okay, so now you can see that we're in a two-step equation. You can remember that from last quarter. We're in a two-step equation. Now we can solve for that unknown variable c. We're going to start by adding 9 to both sides. Plus 9 plus 9. We'll get 51 equals 3c. And now we got multiplication against our variable, so we're going to divide by 3. Divide by 3. This will cancel here. We'll be left with c equals 51 divided by 3. 51 divided by 3, and that equals 17. So c is equal to 17. So when you have these parentheses up here and we're doing cross products, you can see that it turns into a two-step equation, and then we have to work to isolate the variable from there. Alright, one more of those two-step equation type. We get 15 times x plus 1, so that will be 15 times x plus 1 equals 6 times 40, and 6 times 4 is 24, and then we'll just add that 0, so we get 240. And now we need to distribute over here, so we get 15x plus 15 equals 240. And now we have a two-step equation, and we can solve from there. We're going to need to first subtract 15 from both sides. They will cancel. Subtract subtract 15. Now we got 15x equals 225. And then we can divide to solve for x. So we're going to divide by 15. Divide by 15. X equals 225 divided by 15. (225) divided by 15 will be 15. So x is equal to 15. Alright, then we got one last one here. It says a person who weighs 90 pounds on Earth weighs 15 pounds on the moon. How much does a 144 pound person weigh on the moon? So what we're going to do here is we're going to set up a proportion, and then we're going to solve figuring out how much a 144 person weighs on the moon. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to go right through the question here, and we're talking about pounds on Earth and pounds on the moon. Okay, Earth is mentioned first, so it's going to be on the top. We got Earth over the moon. Okay, now if we pull the numbers from the question, we get 90 pounds on Earth, and they weigh 15 pounds on the moon. And we want to know how much a 144 person weighs on the moon. So that's going to be our unknown. Alright, now we have set up a proportion, and we can solve from here by cross multiplying. And we start with here. 90 times x will be 90x. And then 15 times 144. That is a big number, so let's use a calculator. We got 15 times 144, and that is 2,160. So equals 2,160. Alright, now here's our equation, and we can solve for x. We're going to divide by 90, and we're going to divide by 90. We're going to get a cancellation here. X will equal 2,160 divided by 90 equals 24. So x equals 24. Okay, and just to show you how this will work, I'm just going to real quickly divide using the calculator to check my answer. I'm going to say 90 divided by 15. And that is equal to 6, and then we got 144 divided by 24, and that is equal to 6, so we know our answer is correct. X equals 24, so a person who weighs 144 pounds on Earth would weigh 24 pounds on the moon.